In the context of modern society, where emotions are exchanged like commodities and sentimental expression often feels transactional, the figure of the Sigma male stands apart as a profound anomaly. He is not just different, he is a deliberate deviation, a man who has, in a sense, declared emotional bankruptcy. Yet paradoxically, in doing so, he emerges wealthier than those who remain entangled in the chaos of emotional overinvestment. His detachment is not a deficiency. It is a conscious and calculated rebellion against the emotional manipulation and performative vulnerability that so often dominate human relationships today. The path of the Sigma male is not one marred by disillusionment or bitterness. Rather, it is a journey of someone who has attained a deep sense of inner sovereignty. He does not grow cold out of an absence of feeling. He grows cold because he has come to understand the steep cost of warmth in a world that exploits empathy. His emotional withdrawal is not sudden or melodramatic. It is slow, deliberate, and tectonic, like a diamond forged over time through relentless pressure. His character is sculpted not by grand gestures, but through a series of quiet betrayals and hard-earned realizations. Each one crystallizes his resolve. This narrative is not a guide for survival. It does not offer comfort or strategies for fitting in. Instead, it is a declaration of war, a manifesto on the art of emotional warfare. It presents a way of being that refuses to be hostage to the expectations of a sentimental society, choosing instead the radical path of emotional independence and psychological fortitude. Chapter 1. The Thermodynamics of Emotional Energy. In the realm of human interaction, emotional energy is the unseen currency that fuels connection, obligation, and conflict. Every exchange, whether a conversation, a glance, or a favor, is part of a complex system of emotional transactions. For the Sigma male, these interactions are not taken at face value. They are rigorously analyzed through a personal code of psychological physics, what he considers the Sigma thermodynamics. The first law of Sigma thermodynamics declares that emotional energy cannot be created or destroyed, only stolen. In everyday social life, most individuals unknowingly hemorrhage their emotional reserves. They spend themselves on performative empathy, feigning concern to meet social expectations. They engage in endless cycles of emotional debt repayment, returning kindness or validation not out of sincerity, but obligation. They gamble on the stock market of approval, trading authenticity for acceptance. In contrast, the Sigma male brings surgical precision to these exchanges. He audits each interaction, calculating risk and return, while others give until they're drained and depleted. He invests only in situations where emotional returns are assured. He doesn't participate in the emotional economy. He manipulates it. The second law posits that all systems tend toward entropy, a natural decline into disorder. Relationships deteriorate, intimacy erodes, and trust is often a slow casualty of time. But here, the Sigma male breaks the rule. He reverse engineers entropy. His emotional framework is not just resilient, it is anti-fragile. Betrayals don't scar him, they refine him. Every failure, every disillusionment is processed, studied, and converted into a sharper emotional algorithm. Instead of decaying, his system evolves. He is a living proof of engineered emotional stability in a world of disintegrating bonds. The third law asserts that absolute zero, the complete absence of emotional influence, can never truly be reached. But the Sigma male comes hauntingly close. He does not seek to eradicate emotion. That would be mechanical and inhuman. Instead, he reaches functional zero, a state where emotions exist but exert no control. Like a superconducting material operating at near zero temperatures, his mind flows with thought and decision-making that are unburdened by friction or sentiment. He doesn't suppress feeling. He transcends its volatility, achieving a mental state where emotion is acknowledged but no longer rules. In this chapter of Sigma philosophy, the emotional self isn't abandoned. It is reprogrammed, what others call detachment. He defines as control. Where others see coldness, he sees clarity. This is not emotional nihilism. It is the thermodynamics of survival in a world where energy is always in motion and only the precise thrive. Chapter 2. The Betrayal Calculus. For most, betrayal is a deeply emotional wound, an affront to trust that triggers sorrow, anger, and disillusionment. But for the Sigma male, betrayal is not a tragedy. It's a variable. Each act of disloyalty becomes a data point, feeding a complex and ever-evolving mental model of human behavior. He doesn't mourn the collapse of trust. He recalibrates. His approach is clinical, rooted in logic rather than lament. This is a betrayal calculus, a system where every emotional transgression is subjected to strategic analysis. At the heart of this system lies the Sigma equation. Sigma equals loyalty tested / forgiveness offered. This formula defines his tolerance threshold. Loyalty to the Sigma male is not assumed. It is tested, evaluated, and quantified. Forgiveness is not a virtue by default. It is a calculated expense. If the cost of forgiving exceeds the value of loyalty proven, the equation collapses. No second chances, just updated parameters. Within this calculus are multiple variables that guide the Sigma male's assessment of betrayal. 1. Opportunity cost of trust. He meticulously audits what was lost in the act of trusting, what energy was expended in building that relationship, what strategic leverage was compromised. Trust is a currency, and the Sigma male balances his emotional books like a wartime economist. Every wasted moment is a red mark on the ledger. 2. Pattern recognition. He becomes a machine of observation. Verbal cues, once considered friendly banter, are now dissected for subtext. A throwaway comment may have a 0.87 correlation to future betrayal, based on his internal database of past experiences. Micro-expressions under stress are scanned with a near-clinical gaze, subtle shifts in the face, the eyes, the breath. With over 92% predictive accuracy, these become early warning signs of hidden intent. 3. Asymmetric warfare potential. The Sigma male doesn't default to retaliation. Instead, he evaluates whether the betrayer can be weaponized. Can this individual, now compromised, be turned into an unwitting asset? Can their weaknesses be redirected for strategic gain? He understands that sometimes the most efficient punishment is not revenge, but reclassification. A betrayer may no longer be friend or ally, but a psychological test subject, studied for patterns and utility. Consider the case study of the so-called friend who borrowed $5,000. At first, the Sigma male assigned this individual a 78% trust probability, a high investment. But after betrayal, this figure plunged to a mere 3%. He doesn't rage. He doesn't chase repayment. Instead, he quietly removes them from the trust pool and repurposes the interaction as long-term behavioral research. Emotional closure is irrelevant. Strategic closure is everything.
In the betrayal calculus, emotions are not ignored. They are distilled into metrics. The Sigma male doesn't forgive because forgiveness is often a poor investment. He doesn't forget because data is never deleted, only archived for future reference. Every betrayal becomes a part of his algorithmic armor. He doesn't grow colder with each betrayal. He grows more precise. Chapter 3. The Empathy Engine, Cold Fusion Edition. Empathy, in its conventional form, is often hailed as the highest virtue in human connection, a spontaneous resonance with another's emotions, leading to support, comfort, and mutual understanding. But to the Sigma male, traditional empathy is not sacred. It's inefficient. It's empathy 1.0, a system that bleeds energy and clouds judgment. In its place, he operates with an evolved, optimized form, empathy 2.0, or what he refers to as the Cold Fusion Edition, a powerful internal engine that produces intelligence, not exhaustion. Where traditional empathy involves blind emotional resonance, the Sigma male engages in forensic emotional analysis. He does not automatically absorb the feelings of others like a sponge. Instead, he examines them under a microscope. His compassion is never unconditional. It is selective and strategic. He does not allow emotional proximity to become emotional liability. While others are drained by their empathy, the Sigma male uses it as a data extraction tool, converting sentiment into actionable insight. This refined form of emotional intelligence plays out most visibly in what he calls the interrogation room technique. When someone shares their emotions, whether in the form of complaints, confessions, or breakdowns, he follows a 3-step protocol. Mirrors. He subtly reflects the other person's emotional state, not out of solidarity, but to encourage deeper disclosure. People are more likely to talk when they feel heard, and the Sigma male knows that every word shared is a window into their psyche. Maps, as the person speaks, he identifies psychological pressure points, sources of insecurity, frustration, ego, or ambition. These become markers in his mental map, potential leverage points that may serve future objectives. Archives, finally, he stores the information cataloged under the individual's profile in his mental database. The data may not serve immediate use, but he knows the value of timing. Strategic empathy is as much about when you use it as how you acquire it. Take, for example, a scenario in which a colleague breaks down over their overwhelming workload. The beta response is immediate self-sacrifice. I'll help, which drains personal energy and creates dependency. The alpha response dismisses vulnerability, suck it up, which risks social capital and alienation. But the sigma response is silent calculation. He nods, listens attentively, and mentally notes, vulnerability detected, potential leverage for Q3 project negotiations. He offers just enough empathy to gain trust, but not enough to lose power. This is not cruelty, it's control. The Sigma male's empathy engine doesn't run hot with emotion. It runs cold with precision. It is emotional cold fusion, a system that yields insight without combustion. His empathy is not about comfort, it's about clarity. And in a world that often weaponizes vulnerability, he ensures that empathy remains his tool, never his weakness. Chapter 4. The Detachment Protocol. Detachment for the Sigma male is not avoidance, it is discipline. It is the result of a deliberate, structured process known as the detachment protocol, a psychological operating system that ensures emotional autonomy in a world of manipulation, dependency, and distraction. While others may struggle to walk away from toxic dynamics or overextend themselves in pursuit of belonging, the Sigma male operates with surgical clarity. Detachment is not an emotional reaction. It is a pre-programmed response. Phase 1. Emotional decoupling. The first step is to conduct a full audit of his emotional landscape. He inventories every emotional investment, relationships, friendships, obligations, and even long-standing beliefs. Each connection is then tagged with one of two designations. Strategic. These are kept. They provide measurable value, alignment with long-term goals, or reinforce his personal sovereignty. Sentimental. These are purged. If a bond exists purely for nostalgia, obligation, or emotional inertia, it is deemed a liability and surgically removed. He understands that sentimentality is the most insidious form of emotional debt, costly and rarely reciprocated. Phase 2. The iceberg principle. Once emotional decoupling is complete, the Sigma male activates what he refers to as the iceberg principle. In this mode, only the top 10% of his emotional presence is made visible to the world. This is expressed through polite engagement, surface-level communication, and minimal social performance. Beneath the surface, however, lies the remaining 90%, a domain of silent observation, data collection, and psychological mapping. While others talk, he listens. While others reveal, he records. He becomes a passive participant in appearance, but an active analyst beneath the facade. Phase 3. The ejector seat. Perhaps the most misunderstood element of the Sigma male's detachment strategy is his unwavering commitment to the ejector seat protocol, an emergency disengagement mechanism pre-installed in every relationship. This is not triggered by dramatic betrayals or catastrophic failures. It is activated by micro-failures of integrity. The thresholds are precise. 3 consecutive unreciprocated favors signal a parasitic dynamic. 1 verified lie confirms a breach in trust that cannot be rationalized. Half a second of a manipulative tone, a voice shift, a calculated sigh, a passive-aggressive nudge, is enough to trigger his internal alert system. When any of these thresholds are met, the Sigma male doesn't argue, beg, or explain. He simply ejects, quietly, completely, without closure. What others perceive as ghosting, he sees as disengagement without debt. The detachment protocol is not about coldness, it is about conservation. Conservation of time, energy, focus, and self-respect. Where others burn out from emotional entanglement, the Sigma male sustains himself through clarity and control. Detachment is not the absence of feeling, it is the mastery of it. Chapter 5. The Memory Palace of Judgment. The Sigma male's mind is not a chaotic swirl of memories and reactions. It is a memory palace, carefully structured and ruthlessly organized. This internal architecture serves as both sanctuary and surveillance system, a place where past experiences are not merely remembered but categorized, analyzed, and weaponized. In a world where people repeat mistakes and forgive too easily, the Sigma male relies on this cognitive fortress to make judgment not a matter of impulse, but of design. At the core of this mental stronghold are 3 primary chambers, each serving a distinct function in the architecture of the Sigma mind. The Black Library is the most expansive wing, a vast, meticulous archive of every betrayal he has ever encountered. Each entry is cross-referenced by betrayal type, emotional cost, and behavioral pattern. It is not a shrine to bitterness, but a reference manual. When a familiar situation arises, he retrieves the file, reviews the indicators, and adjusts his behavior accordingly. The Black Library ensures that no wound is wasted. Every pain becomes a blueprint for prevention. The White Gallery, by contrast, is almost sacred in its rarity. It contains only the rarest acts of genuine loyalty, unprompted kindness, unshakable support, integrity shown when no one was watching. These moments are preserved not as sentiment, but as data points of high-value allies. The Sigma male does not romanticize loyalty. He logs it like treasure, scarce, invaluable, and worthy of strategic protection. The Red Room is perhaps the most active and dynamic chamber, a simulation engine for future interactions. Here, the Sigma male runs live psychological models, rehearsing conversations, testing reactions, probing for weaknesses. Every social engagement is pre-tested like a mission briefing. Before the world sees his response, he has already played it out 10 different ways within the Red Room. To the outside world, he appears unfazed and instinctive. In truth, he is calculated, always 5 moves ahead. Overlaying this mental architecture is the 3-strike system, a judgment protocol that determines how individuals are handled within his psychological space. First, betrayal. It is not immediately punished. Instead, it is quietly noted, filed in the Black Library, tagged with variables, and watched for recurrence. The Sigma male understands that even good people falter, but a pattern will always reveal itself. Second, betrayal. Now the pattern is confirmed. The response is strategic distance, social access is restricted, privileges are revoked, communication is reduced. The individual is effectively quarantined within the memory palace, monitored but no longer trusted. Third, betrayal. This is the final threshold. At this point, the Sigma male initiates permanent psychic exile. The person is deleted from his emotional registry, not out of rage, but necessity. They may still exist in the physical world, but in his mind, they have become a non-entity. No further chances. No explanations. Just erasure. The memory palace of judgment is not an emotional crutch, it is a cognitive weapon. It allows the Sigma male to move through the world without becoming jaded, because every betrayal strengthens his system. It allows him to recognize loyalty without becoming naive, because trust is earned, not given. In this palace, memory becomes mastery, judgment becomes justice, and emotion is always filtered through design. Chapter 6. The Art of Strategic Ambiguity. In a world obsessed with transparency and oversharing, the Sigma male thrives within the shadows of strategic ambiguity, a calculated use of uncertainty that serves as both armor and advantage. While others seek clarity as a form of comfort, the Sigma male wields confusion as a tactic, drawing from the ancient principle of the fog of war and applying it to the nuanced terrain of social dynamics. His ambiguity is not accidental, it is engineered. His speech patterns, for instance, are deliberately crafted to reveal less than they conceal. Research might show that the average person relies heavily on definitive statements to convey certainty and establish connection. The Sigma male, in contrast, uses approximately 37% fewer definitive statements. He prefers open-ended remarks, rhetorical questions, or neutral acknowledgments. This keeps others guessing, never quite sure of his position, his beliefs, or his intentions. His words glide just above the surface, never diving deep enough to be pinned down. His facial expressions follow a similar doctrine. He maintains what could be described as a polite poker face, a socially acceptable neutrality that gives nothing away. Statistically, his expression registers only 0.3% readability, meaning even skilled observers find it nearly impossible to decode his thoughts or feelings in real time. He offers just enough eye contact to avoid suspicion, just enough warmth to prevent alienation, yet keeps his true emotional state deeply encrypted. Even in the digital realm, the Sigma male exerts control. His digital footprint is carefully curated, not in the performative, overly polished way of influencers, but in a way that makes profiling impossible. He posts infrequently, and when he does, the content is either generic, mildly insightful, or humorously cryptic. The goal is to appear just active enough to seem normal, but never consistent enough to map his values, routines, or emotional triggers. Where others leave trails, he leaves decoys. At the heart of this ambiguity lies the Schrodinger's trust principle, a quantum approach to social judgment. To the Sigma male, every person is simultaneously trustworthy and untrustworthy until sufficient data collapses the probability wave. He does not give trust based on smiles, shared experiences, or social pressure. Nor does he withhold it purely out of cynicism. Instead, he suspends judgment. Each interaction is an experiment, and trust is a state he allows only when the results are repeatable and verifiable. The Sigma male collapses this trust waveform only when necessary, when a choice must be made, when a risk must be taken, or when a mask finally cracks. Until then, everyone exists in a state of suspended evaluation, filed away in the liminal space between ally and unknown. Through strategic ambiguity, the Sigma male avoids becoming predictable, manipulable, or emotionally transparent. He confuses those who seek to control him, frustrates those who demand labels, and disorients those who try to read him like a script. In a culture that overvalues being understood, he finds power in not being known. Because where clarity invites control, ambiguity ensures freedom. Chapter 7. The Pain Conversion Matrix. Pain, for most people, is a disruptive force, an emotional detour that leads to breakdowns, distractions, or self-pity. But for the Sigma male, pain is not a dead end. It is raw material, a volatile energy source waiting to be reconfigured. He approaches suffering not with despair but with strategy, guided by a personal alchemical system known as the pain conversion matrix. Within this framework, betrayal, disappointment, and emotional injury are not ends, they are inputs. The process begins with stage 1, silent observation. When betrayal strikes, whether through broken trust, deception, or emotional sabotage, the Sigma male's first response is non-response. He doesn't flinch, lash out, or seek comfort. He simply watches. Like a scientist observing an unexpected chemical reaction, he studies the pain without letting it leak outward. To the outside world, he appears unaffected. Inside, the transformation is already beginning. Stage 2. Data extraction follows. At this point, he shifts from emotion to analysis. The betrayal is not judged emotionally, but dissected intellectually. What was the failure point? What signs were missed? Which behaviors preceded the breach? How might it be prevented in future engagements? Every scar becomes a case study, every heartbreak a psychological autopsy. Pain is mined for lessons, nothing is wasted. Then comes stage 3, energy transmutation, the core of the matrix. Here, the Sigma male performs his personal alchemy. He converts emotional pain into pure, directed focus. What once threatened to unravel him is now fuel. Anger becomes discipline. Sadness becomes strategic resolve. Frustration is rechanneled into higher-order thinking, physical training, creative output, or mission execution. He doesn't suppress pain, he refines it. The effectiveness of the pain conversion matrix can be measured in output metrics, tangible shifts in the sigma male's cognitive and emotional operating system. A plus 12% increase in situational awareness indicates his enhanced sensitivity to subtle social cues, warning signs, and manipulative behaviors. Pain has made his perception sharper. A minus 8% drop in tolerance for nonsense reflects a trimming of emotional fat, less patience for performative drama, small talk, and social games. He becomes leaner in how he spends his energy. A plus 5% rise in emotional detachment signals a deeper level of inner calm. He no longer overreacts or overinvests. Pain has cooled his emotional volatility, replacing it with a steady, surgical mindset. The pain conversion matrix doesn't make the sigma male numb, it makes him formidable. Where others are paralyzed by emotional injury, he is propelled forward. He doesn't seek pain, but when it arrives, as it inevitably does, he knows exactly what to do with it. This is not stoicism as suppression, it is stoicism as system upgrade. In the end, pain becomes less of a curse and more of a crucible. And from that crucible, the sigma male emerges not just intact, but improved. Chapter 8. The Final Sigma Paradox. At the heart of the sigma male's existence lies a final, inescapable paradox. He becomes more human by appearing less so. While others frantically express, explain, and expose themselves in search of connection, the sigma male walks the opposite path, towards silence, solitude, and stoic observation. And yet, in doing so, he accesses a depth of emotional understanding and personal integrity that few ever reach. Where society conditions people to chase validation, constantly looking outward for approval and belonging, the sigma male has internalized a different truth. Self-validation is the only stable form of worth. He doesn't perform to be seen. He acts in alignment with his own values, whether noticed or not. This unshakable self-containment generates a gravitational pull, paradoxically attracting others through his refusal to seek them. He does not beg for loyalty. He understands that loyalty extracted through pleading or emotional dependency is brittle, short-lived, and transactional. Instead, he inspires loyalty through scarcity. His time is limited. His approval is rare. His presence is earned. Those who gain access understand its value, not because he tells them, but because he quietly withholds it from the unworthy. And while the world broadcasts emotions like advertisements, oversharing as a currency of connection, the sigma male uses silence as a scalpel. He does not reveal his internal state unnecessarily. In conversation, his pauses are not awkward. They are calculated voids, drawing out more than words ever could. In a society drowning in noise, he becomes powerful by resisting the urge to contribute to it. In this way, he becomes the silent banker in a culture of emotional beggars. Others trade in feelings recklessly, loaning trust to the undeserving, spending energy on attention-seeking, and overextending compassion without boundaries. The sigma male, however, is rich in control and poor in need. His emotional wealth is measured not by how much he feels, but by how little he depends on others to feel whole. Epilogue. The Sigma Manifesto. This is not merely a personality type, it is a doctrine of emotional sovereignty. A code of operations in a world designed to manipulate, distract, and consume the psyche. You are your own sovereign nation. Govern your boundaries. Enforce your values. Your mind is not public property. No emotional treaties without reciprocity. Connection must be mutual, not lopsided. Give only where balance exists. No open borders for psychological vampires. Not everyone deserves access, especially those who feed on your empathy without returning energy. Trust is the rarest currency. It must be minted in the forge of proven actions, not flowery words. Trust inflated by fools becomes worthless. Trust backed by gold. Your integrity, your memory, your clarity is priceless. Pain is the only professor. Every betrayal is a PhD in human nature. Every disappointment is a tax deduction on emotional income. It costs you less the next time. Silence is the ultimate language. The less you speak, the more they reveal. The quieter you are, the louder your power echoes. Freedom is measured in detachment. What can't manipulate you, can't control you. What you don't need, can't hurt you. The Sigma male does not hate humanity. He studies it. Not to mock it, not to isolate from it, but to understand its code. Not to play the game blindly, but to master its rules while quietly designing a game of his own. He is not cold. He is calibrated. He is not absent. He is autonomous. He is not better. He is simply untethered. This is the Sigma path. Not a rebellion against society, but a refusal to be owned by it. Do you resonate with the ideas I shared in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more content about Sigma males, explore the other videos on this channel. Thanks for watching.